Hey, what's up? It's Comic95 the Savior, and for this video, I will be doing an unfortunate unpacking while I explain to White Dora and all of her friends the basis of my channel, my video, and once again having to over-explain myself. So, I don't normally waste my time responding to people's comments as of late because it's a waste of time. Not those of you that have had nice things to say, I'm just legitimately too busy to take the time to type for everyone. But for people that have ignorant things to say, I've literally just been letting it sit in spam and or trashing it or simply ignoring it. But somebody brought up a really good stupid point that's already been answered before, either on my channel and definitely other places, but I figured why not make a video actually responding to it? For starts, makes me money, and secondly, it educates people on my channel that may not know this already. So I want to get this out of the way. First and foremost, obviously, I do not hate white people, even though I don't need to explain this part. I am a minority. I have white friends. I talk to white people. I work with white people. I've had crushes on white people. No, that does not necessarily mean anything, but you get my point. What other way can I prove it? I gotta suck a white person's dick or something? Not gonna happen. But that's another story. Okay, with that said, I constantly see, obviously, that there is a theme on my channel. Two different things. One, obviously, as a minority, specifically a Black American woman living in Japan, I am going to have experiences with racism, prejudice, whatever, stereotyping that I'm going to want to address on my channel. These videos, like the one you're watching right now, is specifically a journal. This is not a normal fun, oh my god, look at matcha tea Japan type video. Rather speaking to you about my real life experiences. And as you can imagine, because I am a Black person, a lot of my experiences aren't necessarily all that great. They tend to deal with heavy themes such as racism, bullying, etc. So if you don't like to hear about the truth, this is not the channel for you to watch. There are plenty of people. In fact, for white people that don't like hearing me talk about racism, there's plenty of blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls that think Japan is so perfect, have nothing bad to say, and will tell you how wonderful everything is, and their only bad experience will be some guy accidentally touching her arm on the train and her claiming that she got raped. So if that's what you want to watch, go ahead, go for it. So anyway, let me specifically talk about this comment. I can go on and on and on for days talking about this, and this video is going to definitely be lengthy. More than likely, I will try to keep it under the 3-hour mark, but it's going to get long, and I'm not going to set a time frame on it. I didn't write any notes. I'm just speaking freely. I will probably read this chick's comment, but I'm not going to waste my time giving you her username. She subscribed to me, and she might unsub. She's a new sub. She hasn't even been here for a month yet. But yeah, I'm not even trying to like read her to filter drag her, which is why I'm not going to bother to give her name and give her, you know, her 15 seconds of fame, so to speak. But I do want to address the comment that was made, and you can easily go find my channel because I'm going to mention the video. So first things first, I have no idea why white people, for some reason, they don't like people talking about racism, but they flock to videos that are about them and articles on it. Now, I don't know about you, but normally if something annoys me, I avoid it. I have a really bad phobia and fear of bugs, all bugs. I don't like ants, spiders, ladybugs, butterflies. They all scare the crap out of me. If a butterfly or a ladybug were to land on me, I would probably scream or have a heart attack in silence out of fear. Okay, with that said, you will not see me making a YouTube video or searching for YouTube videos on somebody letting ladybugs crawl up their arms. Why? Because it will freak me out. I don't want to see that. Okay. If you truly hate hearing Black people, white people, Hispanics, whoever, Asian people talking about race and or racism, why the hell would you look for a video on that topic? Better yet, let's say that you subscribe to me, because I have tons of other videos. Maybe you came here and you watched a video about dating Japanese men or about finding an apartment. One of my recommended videos were about, you know, being a Black woman dating Asian men, about the racism and stuff like that that I've had to deal with. Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But then the next question is, why click on the video? It doesn't relate to you. You're not Black. You're not Asian. What does this video have to do with you? I already have to deal with the knucklehead fetishizers that are defending their fetish and claiming that it's not a fetish, as well as the Japanese and or Asian people that don't agree with what I'm saying because they don't want people to basically see what goes on. I mean, don't take my word for it. You can literally look at blogs and forums by other people, Black women that are older than me, have darker skin than me, that have lived here longer than me, from various countries, etc. Don't take my word for this stuff. This is just my experience, my opinion. There are much worse things being said and that have been said and are done to Black people living in Japan simply for being Black and existing. Don't take my word for that, though. Okay, I would have to deal with them. But then you come along. Why are you here then? Like, you literally seek stuff that's about a topic that you don't like to talk about, don't want to hear about. Then let me also refresh your memory. White people made everything about race. And then you have the audacity to get mad when people talk about it, though. Okay, you do realize that you as a white person, I don't care whether you're rich or poor, what country you're from, where your family's from, and what your background is, etc. Simply by being white, you are born into privilege. You guys hate hearing this. I talk about myself. Let me help you out. Okay, I am a Black woman, but I'm not a dark-skinned Black woman. I also benefit from things like pretty privilege, from being an American, from being someone that has an acceptable American English accent. Okay, all of those things are privilege for me. I can even go as far to say that I have privilege because I had both my mom and dad growing up. I have privilege because I am educated. I do not have a perfect life. I've gone without money. I've gone without food. I've had my water, gas, electricity turned off. I've been abused. I've been raped. I've had it all happen to me. Does that mean that my life is perfect? No. But there are things that I've never had to deal with and never will have to deal with because of my nationality, because of my complexion, because of my background, because of my upbringing. I have benefits over somebody who has dark skin, who doesn't speak with the same accent that I do, who isn't seen as attractive. You get where I'm coming from? Okay. Because of these things, it doesn't mean that my life is perfect, but I cannot relate to people teasing me, making fun of me for having dark skin. I cannot relate to being seen as ugly and being unwanted and not being included and involved in groups. I'm not a very tall girl. I can say that I benefited from that too. I've never had to deal with having to feel self-conscious or afraid of meeting a guy because maybe I'm too fat or I'm too tall or I'm too whatever. I can't relate to these things. That's all privilege. Okay. Privilege does not mean your life is perfect. It means there are things you never have to worry about. As a white person, more than likely, you've never had to code switch in your life. The closest thing to code switching you've probably done is like how everybody does. When answering the phone, excuse my voice, I'm a little sick. When answering the phone, you probably, gave yourself a nice little more cutesy voice after you were done yelling at somebody or being angry or sad or whatever. Just to sound more friendly and approachable, whatever. You've never had to think, oh my God, let me cover up my accent. I don't want them to be able to hear that I'm Black. I don't want them to hear that I'm, Hispanic, that I'm Mexican, whatever. You don't have to worry about covering those tracks, covering those things about yourself. You've never had to think when you didn't get a job, did they not hire me because of my blonde hair? Like how I have to think, should I not have worn curly hair to that interview? Was it not seen as professional? There are problems and situations that you cannot relate to. It doesn't mean you can't understand them. You can learn and become educated. I don't have dark skin, but I understand their problems and struggles. Have I dealt with it directly? No. I've had similar experiences. For example, I live in Asia, and here I am considered to be a dark-skinned person. My complexion is seen as dirty here. However, I am not as dark as another Black person. I don't get the same attention as someone that has truly dark skin. There are differences. Okay, I'm not going to waste my time educating you on that. You can look into that on your own. But what I wanted to talk about was specifically, this person took what I said out of context in my video. So I did a video talking about why Asian men do not like Black women. And instead of them taking from the video, oh, okay, you made a good point, or, this is a balanced video, because if you actually watch the entirety of the video, I talk about both sides. I talk about what Asians have been taught in the media, as well as what Blacks have been taught in the media, because we don't normally talk about that side of it. This is not to justify Asians being racist, stereotyping, being prejudiced, or not liking an entire race of people. rather to explain it. Giving an explanation does not mean you're justifying it. You're explaining what happened. For example, I can say, okay, I shot or stabbed or I hurt this person because I was angry at them for cheating on me. Does that excuse what I did? Is the person not still gone and out of this world? Are they not dead? Does it make what I did okay? No. But it gives closure. It explains, oh, this is what she was thinking. Because without an explanation, you just seem pretty crazy, right? Okay. For example, we don't talk about this too much either, but let's be real. Anybody that is white and age 40 and over, or now I could probably even say 50, but definitely 40 and over, I would say is safe enough. Either they are racist or they grew up around racist people. Whether it be your family, your friends, you know somebody. If you're a white person, especially if you are from, America or the UK, and possibly even Australia, Canada, whatever, but definitely the US and UK. Now you have the choice. You're an adult. You can choose to ignore racism. You can choose to not be a racist yourself. But more than likely, you had to unlearn some things that you were taught. Racism is not always direct and blunt, saying, I hate these people, I don't like these people, you're not human. But it can be indirect. For example, being fearful of being around somebody that is Black out of fear of them harming you, or doing something bad to you, or not trusting them, whatever. Clutching your bag, locking your door. Referring to a Black area as being dangerous, bad, whatever. Or assuming that it will be. Little things like that. Subliminals, not always super blunt and direct and in-your-face racism. Okay, so now that I've gotten that out of the way, either you were and had to unlearn it and or you are. It's simple as that. Because even if your family members are not, let's say that you are a true Christian or Catholic, whatever, and you truly just have friends of every race and you love everyone, you would be a lie if you pretend like you can't name not one person that you went to school with, that you were neighbors with, that you were friends with, whatever, that did not teach you some racist crap. Or that you didn't know was a racist, indeed. Okay, not going to waste my time on that because I know people are going to argue about that too, but you get my point. Okay. What I'm trying to say to you is, you do not have to be a racist yourself. You do not have to fall into something yourself for it to be true for the majority. Simple as that. I can honestly say in my heart that the majority of white people that I have met have not been racist towards me. They didn't come off that way, at least. They were respectful, nice, kind to me, etc. However, meeting some nice people that treated me well does not get rid of the fact that some of those white people that were treating me nicely and well might have had prejudiced thoughts about my race as a whole. You can be nice to me and not be nice to other Black people. You can trust me and feel distrustful towards other Black people because of stereotypes. It's simple. Why is my phone blowing up? On top of that, if that's not enough, even if that person were truly not racist, felt nothing bad towards other Black people, why does that one person, or only the people that I've met, now stand for the entire race of people? Is that truly fair? No. The exception doesn't change the rule. That's what I'm getting at. So in this video, because I'm getting sidetracked, I'm all over the place, I'm tired, it's late, I'm sorry, but in this video, I made the video balanced, and I talked about, as I said earlier, my thoughts and feelings as a child about Asian people and what they were based on. Keywords, based on. Unlike Asian people, unlike white people, my feelings towards Asians were not a matter of me projecting this onto them, but rather me seeing how they treated me and saying, oh, okay, so you must be this way. Now, this white person was basically saying, oh, well, if a white person were to say this about a Black person, they'd be seen as a you-know-what, basically a racist, they'd be wrong, whatever. But it's this is not the same thing. I'm referring to my experience being a Black person, being followed around stores, being cheated when going to an Asian restaurant, served old, dirty, nasty food, dealing with attitudes, having people talk about you at the nail salons, etc. Okay, those are factual, firsthand experiences. You combine that with media teaching you these things. and actually being in person with them and dealing with them treating you in a racist way, okay, this is not stereotyping them at this point. This is actual experience with people who are Asian. Nowhere in my video did I justify what I thought. A stereotype is a stereotype and wrong is wrong. But rather, I was simply saying I saw all Asian people as being racist and rude because all of the Asian people that I met were racist and rude towards me. I still remember to this day, one of the best experiences that I had as a child that stuck with me. I used to have really, really, really bad acne growing up, and I went to the beauty supply store, and the store is actually owned by Christians, which I found out later. But it was a Christian couple that owned the store, and they saw me come up to the counter, and I had, this acne kit, whatever thing that I got from them. And as they were scanning, my stuff, they were like, "Oh, is this for you?" And I can't remember the exact words, but they basically, kept profusely telling me, "Oh, you're so beautiful. Like, you don't need this, blah, blah, blah," and kept saying that to me. And it made me really happy. It really touched me. I never had anybody at any place say something like that. And definitely not at a beauty supply store. I wouldn't expect that. I mean, you're lucky if they even acknowledge and greet you. Normally, the staff is very rude. They're normally following you like a hawk. They do not trust you. It changed my perspective. Am I justifying my perspective earlier? No. But also, are you seriously trying to judge a child the same way that you would judge an adult? The purpose of my video was to admit my ignorance. To admit me, I wouldn't really say a double standard, but fine, for lack of a better term, having a double standard. However, my double standard comes from real experience. For these people, Asian and or white people, have you ever met a Black person? Have you ever been assaulted by one? Has one ever even stolen from your store, possibly? For most people, the answer to these things would be no. But, oh, I know of someone, or I saw this on TV, or whatever. No real experience. If everyone that you've ever encountered has given you nasty stares, been rude to you, etc., it's safe to assume, oh, these people don't like me, they're racist. Now, unlike you as a racist white person, I didn't waste my time going around campaigning and hating people because of it. I just knew to myself, I have no interest in dating or befriending people like this because I don't want to have to feel like I'm walking on eggshells and having to be careful and prove that I'm a good Black person type thing. I mentioned that I didn't grow up around Asian people. There were some people in my life, but not many. I never thought about or considered them as someone that I wanted to get to know or be friends with and or date or anything else. Why? There was no representation on TV, so they never crossed my mind. When I did encounter people that they were normally racist, so I didn't see them as any different than a racist white person. Why do I want to meet more people like that? 3, I was a kid. I'm young. I'm not thinking about sex. I'm not thinking about marriage. I'm not thinking about traveling the world or anything else. This is not the same situation. I can go on a whole rant on that. There's a lot more that can be said, but I'm tired. And so I want to also get to the next point that I want to mention to you. For you saying, oh, like, why do you care about race? Why do you care about people think blah, blah, blah? Your race does matter. You can play stupid and pretend like, oh, you shouldn't care. Only what you think matters and the people that you love, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sorry to break it to you. That's not how the real world works. Unfortunately, your life is based around what people think about you. It's the truth. It's facts. For some things, yeah, sure, you don't have to care. There's always going to be someone that likes you. But we also have to wake up and smell the coffee in some situations, too. You have to be liked and accepted by other people in order to get a house, to get a job. And in some cases, even to get things to survive, to make sales and trade-offs. There are experiences that I've had as a Black person that you cannot relate to as a white person. This is not to make you feel bad for it, but I want to open up your eyes so you can shut up and stop saying stupid crap to me. Have you ever been turned down from an apartment because of your race? Have you ever been told that you can't go into a restaurant because of your race and nationality? More than likely, no, based on your stupid comment. Does it happen to white people too? Yes. But I'm specifically talking about these people that don't understand why race matters. You can play colorblind and pretend like you don't see race and don't see color, but the world does. And I hate to break it to you, it might not be your fault directly, but you benefit from it. Your ancestors were racist and they set the rules. And because of their stupid rules and stupid stereotypes, the entire world has become a fuck show. So you can thank your grandma, your grandpa, your great-grandparents, your whole little stupid lineage line. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at your people. They're the ones who started that crap. I don't wake up and choose violence and decide, oh, I want to be angry at white people, whatever. It ain't even about you, sweetheart. This video is about issues between blacks and Asians. And you played some part in it. Because some of the stereotypes they have and beliefs come from none other than, guess who? You and your people. And this ain't stuff from 100 years ago. This is 50, 40, 30 years ago. Fresh, new stuff. Shit, we got clowns that have been on the news, it's, a year or two ago in Japan, talking on stuff they don't even know what they're talking about. Misinform people about Black Lives Matter, for example. Please have several seats. Shut up and sit down. If you don't understand something, educate yourself. Don't run around being ignorant. I don't know everything. I have to learn. I made a video. I recently uploaded it talking about how I didn't understand why Oriental was offensive. Y'all got restaurants called Oriental. Oriental Trading Company. What? How was that offensive? I was stupid. I was ignorant. I didn't understand. Did I call Asian people that? No. But I was surprised to see, why is that offensive? Instead of me running around saying, well, it's a word, so I'm going to use it anyway because that's the name of my favorite online store. No. I simply did a Google search, watched some YouTube videos, read some blog posts, and wow, I got educated. And instead of arguing and fighting the problem and trying to find reasons to be difficult, nope, I accepted the fact I might not fully understand everything, but I can respect that this is not appropriate to these people. You don't have to understand what it's like to be a person of color, specifically a Black person, but you can educate yourself. You can see things that you don't have to deal with as a white person. Nobody's saying your life is perfect, princess. But I'm explaining that there are things that you don't have to deal with because you are not a Black person. Let me give you one other example. If you were to come to Japan as a white person, you would never have to deal with the possibility of being rejected from a job because you are Black. You would never have to deal with the possibility of students screaming and crying and calling you, a monster or ape or monkey, gorilla sensei, none of that type of stuff. Why? Because you're white. Why do you care who likes you? Gee, let's think about that for a second. If you happen to be like the overwhelming majority of people on this earth, the way that you are biologically, genetically, whatever you want to call it, wired and designed as a man and or a woman. You can be politically correct. I'm not doing all that PC liberal crap like how y'all do in the US. I'm going to keep it real with you. Most people want to get married. It's facts. They want to reproduce. If you are living somewhere where the majority of people do not like you, not because you're ugly, but because they've decided that your race is not seen as dateable, not seen as desirable, attractive, how do you think that's going to make you feel psychologically? If people decide that because of your race, they don't want to be friends with you, they don't want to sit next to you, stand next to you, work with you, hire you, what do you think that's going to do to you mentally? Can I really just turn a blind eye to that and be like, well, I don't care about what other people think about me. I love myself. My boyfriend loves me. Sweetheart, there's more people in this world than you, your friends, and whoever you're dating. And depending on how you look in your situation, it might seem nearly impossible to get any of those things. Your whole life is a trade-off. You're constantly having to sell yourself. You have to sell yourself to get friends, to get a partner, to get a job. You have to be able to sell yourself, not physically for money necessarily, but you do have to, sell yourself to the person. Pitch yourself. Why should I be your friend? Why should I date you? Why should we hire you? You are always having to fight and compete with other people. As a Black person, you have to compete with other applicants. Why the hell would they want to hire me over a beautiful, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl? That's the image that they want. That's what's seen as beautiful. That is the beauty standard. There are some places in Asia that only hire white teachers. Just throwing that out there. You clearly don't know what you're talking about. You can't even fathom or imagine what your life would be like. I'm not talking about not having people drool and gawk over you for being beautiful. I mean, imagine people saying that they don't like you for something that you cannot change. Your complexion is like a disability in a sense. It is the way you are born. There is nothing that you can do about it. And even if you want to go as far as bleaching your skin or getting a nose job or whatever you choose to do, your DNA is still Black. You reproduce, your children will be Black. Surgery can only do so much too. There are limitations. I really don't understand why that's so hard for people to wrap their minds around and to understand. Your race does affect your day-to-day life. It is important. And what people think about you, while it doesn't have to necessarily control and dictate your life, this is not the same problem as it is in the US or UK, where a white guy can say, oh, I'm not really into Black girls. I like Asian girls, or I like, thin model type, whatever, white girls. I like blondes. I like redhead. No. It's not like that. Think of an entire country where everyone is exactly the same. You are the odd one out. There's not even 1% of you. And not only do people not want to date you, but because things are so old-fashioned, so backwards, people openly approach you with racist comments. People openly reject you from places, whether it be houses, jobs, restaurants, stores. You miss out on opportunities. You can't do things in peace without having to worry about somebody taking a picture of you or recording you, not because you look good, but because you look funny to them. Can you relate to that? Has that ever happened to you? No, you can't. So why are you talking on this? If you don't know what you're talking about, get educated. I'm sorry for being real with you, but I'm telling my real life experience. I can lie to you and pretend like, oh, only Asian people are bad. They're the only ones that stereotypes wrong, whatever. No. In the Black community, we do have racist stereotypes and things that we say about them too. I don't support it and I don't agree with it, but I can acknowledge it. I've seen Asian people get treated badly by Black people too. And I will not defend it and make an excuse for it, but I will explain why it does happen. And that's exactly what my video did. The racist stuff and feelings that Black people have towards Asians is done more so out of spite, if you will, for lack of a better word, in retaliation. They say this about us, they think this about us, well, fine. We have our stereotypes, we could think about you too. That's how it's always been. We don't start nothing. You treat us good, we good to you. You treat us bad, stereotype us, we do the same thing back to you. That's all I'm saying. I didn't blame the media for anything. What I talked about is that like anybody else, yeah, of course, the media shaped and molded my perspective and opinions on it, just like how it does for them. Notice that also in my video, I did not say that I went around calling Asian people this or treating them a certain way. I just didn't think of them, had no interest. They didn't cross my mind. That was all. Here, not only do people not like you, but they are very open and bold and outspoken and will say whatever's on their mind when they see you. Their faces show it. Their words and actions show that they're racist. That I cannot relate to. That was not what I did. For me, when I saw media, when I saw stereotypes of Asian people being, the scrawny, thin, short guy with glasses doing all the science experiments, didn't mean anything to me. Might have been comical for the show. Okay, whatever. When I went out in real life, I didn't think about it. Didn't cross my mind, didn't care. I didn't go around saying, oh, he looks just like that guy from TV. Or, oh my God, he's so, weak, he's so feminine, he's so short, he's so small, whatever. Nope. Didn't do that type of stuff. Does that happen in reverse to me? Most certainly. People see a Black person, they say whatever's on their mind. Whatever stereotypes have been taught, fed, whatever. They speak them. They act on them. They make decisions based on them. I've had people literally message me just to say something racist to me. Can't relate to that. That's what I'm talking about. My goal in my video was not to excuse my thoughts, but rather to explain we both have stereotypes about each other. The way that we reacted to them is different. And the reason for them is different. Black people's stereotypes towards Asians are mostly behavioral, rooted on their racism towards us, such as them being rude and following us. That's not really a stereotype. I mean, they do that to us. Asian stereotypes on Black people are based on what they've seen from Black people committing crimes in the US on the news. Situations that 9 times out of 10 did not and do not involve them. They've taken what they've seen on the news and decided this is what all Black people are like. We most certainly do not do that. My video was explaining my own personal perspective, what I saw, what I thought, to give you a perspective of what they see and what they think. From their media's perspective, all they see is look like this white girl, she's beautiful, you need to be Elsa, and don't look like this dirty, dark-skinned, whatever, Black person. They're not clean. They need a bath. That's what you get in media. You go to a toy store here, almost everything is white, 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 white. No Asian dolls at all. Everything, blonde hair, blue eyes, green eyes, every single thing. You look at magazines, their models, their most popular models are people that are mixed race. The less Asian you look, the more attractive you are here. They like foreign features. That is problematic. However, the foreign features that they like are specifically those of white people. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Even if you were to come to Japan, yes, you will deal with some racism and some things, people that hate foreigners, but it's not going to be on the same level as someone who is Black. You cannot entirely relate. The other issue that I want to talk about, because again, I can go and drag on these points so much further, so much longer, but the other thing that I want to talk about was, I noticed that white people's solution for everything is always to leave where you're at, which that is a very common saying by not white people, but racist white people. There's no logic in that. Every time somebody does something racist, people don't like you, get up, pack up my bags and move and leave. If that was the reaction to everything, I wouldn't be here right now. Jim Crow law would still be around. There'd be no civil rights. If you're a woman, you couldn't vote. It's thanks to people standing up, fighting back, and not taking your shit that we have what we do have today, that we have these freedoms, that I can work where I want to, that I can travel, that I'm not picking cotton for your great-great-grandma right now. That's why. Because we didn't just get up and say, okay, well, slavery's over. Let's all, pack up and go back to Africa finally. No, my ancestors built the US. We are going to stay there. We will fight for it. Their bravery, them standing up and being bold and doing what you can't do and wouldn't do, has benefited all of us. It is not practical. It's a waste of time, a waste of money, and it is stressful to get up and leave every situation that things aren't good. It's not realistic. Also, the problem is not getting rid of the concept of race. We don't have to be stupid and pretend like we cannot see that there are differences in our complexions. We don't have to be stupid and pretend like we don't notice differences in our features. There are differences from culture to culture, nationality to nationality. The problem is not the race. The problem is not the nationality. The problem is your mind, the way that you react to it. Stop trying to avoid addressing the problem, because the issue at hand is not whether I say I'm Black American or African American. The issue at hand is you being able to treat me as an American, even although I am Black. Get that through your mind. Stop trying to switch and turn it around and being like, oh, well, if you would stop talking about race and just use nationality, why you have to say Black American or Asian American, just say that you're American. How well is that working for Australia and the UK? Not very. There are differences. Separating your race is no different than separating your gender. Has it affected girls by calling them girls and calling boys boys? People that want to identify as those two, I'm not going to get into those politics with you. No. It doesn't. I realize there's a difference between me and there's a difference between my brother. The way that we think, our body parts, our likes and dislikes. There are biological differences, and that's okay. No issue there. Okay, same thing goes with our race. We are genetically different. We don't look the same. We have different cultures. We like different things based on how we grew up. There are some things that we have in common because we have the same nationality. In fact, I'd argue that we have most things in common because of that. But there are also things that we don't have in common because our culture is different. Our experiences are going to be different. You could pretend to not see things, but it doesn't change the fact that they exist. Not calling me Black, not calling me African American is not going to suddenly get rid of racism. It's not the way it works. And it shouldn't be that I have to sacrifice part of my identity to get rid of that to begin with. That solution sounds like the equivalent of saying, well, there would be no more domestic abuse or, men beating on their wives if we got rid of, I don't know, changing your last name after marriage or something. Like, what does it have to do with anything? Well, if you have his last name, it means you're his property, right? So he can do whatever he wants to you. That's almost what this sounds like to me. How does me changing what I title myself, Black, Hispanic, whatever, that suddenly gets rid of racism? How does not talking about something also get rid of the problem too? I had somebody that was half Black, half Asian, allegedly, supposedly, allegedly, whatever, say this on my channel as well. And I was thinking to myself, like, that makes no sense to not talk about racism to make it go away. Once again, bringing it back to what I said before. It is thanks to my ancestors and brave, non-racist white people who did speak up and fight for our rights that we have them. Not talking about stuff does not make it go away. If someone is sexually abusing you, do you think that being quiet is going to make them just suddenly stop? No. You can get lucky and it might happen. More than likely it won't. In fact, if anything, kind of might be encouraging them to do it again. I would know because I've been there, done that. My entire childhood, I've been a victim. I tried shutting my mouth for years. Did anything change? Nope. You want to know what happened? Recently on my own YouTube channel, I exposed these people. I talked about it. And guess what they did? They went and told mommy. Yep. Glad it got to them. Sent me a Facebook message. Good for me. Glad I did it. Wish I spoke up sooner. So anyway, I'm done. I'm going to go on and on about that, but stop taking crap out of my mouth and trying to change things out of context. Race does matter. It affects our day-to-day lives. It affects your opportunities in life, whether it be dating, friendships, work, where you can live, etc. It does make a difference. Not talking about race does not suddenly magically wipe away all of the issues that you were dealing with that had to do with it beforehand. That's not the way that it works. Trust me, we would know. We've tried that before. It doesn't work. Don't get mad at me for talking about race. Get mad at your people, your ancestors. See how y'all don't like that game? Y'all like to start crap and you want the games to end when you decide that you want it to end. You start a shit show, a shit storm. You create racism, essentially. Racism existed before slavery towards blacks. There's been slavery since God knows how long. It's always existed. There was slavery within Africa, I know. But let's be real. The real problem, modern day slavery issues, stem from what went on in the US in particular within the last couple hundred years. That's the real issue at hand. It does not dissolve from not being spoken about. Things have gotten better recently from it being talked about more. It's interesting to me that you guys get more upset at people talking about racism than you are at the people for being a racist. Don't get mad at me for calling out your best friend Becky. Get mad at Becky for saying racist shit to me. The fuck are you mad at me for? I'm the one that got called the nigger and I'm the one making a video about it. You mad at me for sharing my experience. You ain't mad at Becky for opening up her damn mouth and spewing out racist shit. What type of fucking sense does that make? But that makes way too much sense for you, right? Also, stop trying to make yourself the victim. Anytime a black person says something, I keep seeing white people, if a white person said this, bitch, you're not a minority. That would be the equivalent to a rich person saying, well, if a rich person said this, okay, bitch, yeah, like you don't have the same struggles as a poor person, so you should shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear about your financial issues. Being rich does not mean you don't have problems with money. But it sure as hell is insensitive for you to be sharing your shit right now. It ain't the same thing. Same situation. We can acknowledge that too, and I wouldn't have any problem with it. As a white person, I'm not stupid. Y'all can play holy and righteous all you want to. I have no problem with this. But let's be real. As I said earlier, most of you, either you grew up with racists or you grew up as a racist, and you have to decide at some point in your life, either my parents are really fucking stupid or they're really woke. One or the other. Are they woke for hating black people? Or are they really stupid for hating them? You had to decide. Do I want to continue being racist or am I going to stop? You had to make a conscious decision. I'm not going to go around hating white people because they shared that when they were a child or even as an adult that they were at some point racist or believed stereotypes, whatever. It takes a lot to acknowledge and be real. I did just that. I don't know if I mentioned it in that video because that was from like 2 years ago now, but I had an experience before that I think I shared on my channel when I was about 9 years old. I was in 4th grade, and I remember being on the school bus and seeing that there were these 2 Chinese girls that had went grocery shopping at a local grocery store to buy some, ingredients to make Chinese food at, a new Chinese restaurant that just opened up. And the kids on my bus, all black, they pulled down their windows and started calling them racial slurs. I think they said something like ling ling and like stretched their eyes and did some other type of stuff like that. It was beyond ignorant. It was rude. It was racist. I never forgot it. I would never do something like that. I was surprised. I'm not justifying what happened, but I can be real and say I've seen racist stuff done towards Asians. However, I will also play devil's advocate. That's what my video was about. I don't normally see stuff like that. That's a one-off thing. When black people talk about Asians, 90% of the time, it's us talking about them being racist towards us. We don't sit around and have campfires making jokes about people having slanted eyes or small dicks or whatever. But they most certainly do that about us. They have whole TV shows of people wearing blackface and pretending to be, Lil Wayne and Michael Jackson type stuff. And attaching inflatable big booties and, crap like that. We don't have that. There is a difference. My video was answering a question that a lot of people asked, especially Black women. Black and even Hispanic, mixed race, whatever girls. I get messages all the time. I personally was curious about this before I came to Japan myself. They want to know, what is it like dating here? What is it like making friends here? What do people think of me here? It's a normal question to ask, especially if you're a young adult. You're not going to live in this world forever. You don't have forever to choose to get married and have kids. Women have less time than men to do these things and to think about them. We also tend to be more mature than men on average. We want these things. There's nothing wrong with that. You would be a fool to go somewhere without doing some prior research on what do people think of you. You should be knowledgeable of what it's like. That you should know what's considered as beautiful, what's considered as ugly, what's considered as rude, what's considered as acceptable. Common sense, basic stuff. There's nothing weird, odd, or unusual about that. If it's not your question, you don't care, you're not concerned, then by all means, don't watch it. It's not for you then. But there are thousands of people who do care, who do want to know, who are curious, and it is for them. There was no justification in my video on me saying, well, I have the right to think and believe this. I simply played devil's advocate because I think we spend so much time, not to make it fair, but just being real. We spend so much time focusing on what Asians say and think about Black people. But I've never watched not a single video of Black people explaining the stuff that we do say and or believe about Asians. I can tell you right now, I have family members that have said racist things to me about me being in Japan. I don't agree with them. It's ignorant, it's wrong, it's rude. But I'm not going to lie and pretend like, I have no idea that this stuff exists. That's my point. Telling you where I'm coming from, telling you my experience, telling you that I too had to unlearn stuff. But also explaining that our perceived or perceptions, whatever you want to call it, about Asians are based on them being racist towards us. Just like how Black people have the same stereotype that, all white people are racist, whatever type thing. It's based on our experiences with white people. You cannot say that. Your issues with Black people are what you've seen on TV. You have instantly decided the moment that you met me that I'm a drug dealer, crackhead, baby mama, gangbanger. That's stereotyping people. Me saying, well, everything that I've seen of you is you following me around the beauty supply store, you talking about me, in Chinese to your little coworker, whatever. That is personal experience. Unless you're a part of that 10% of people that have possibly, had a real life interaction with a Black person, which that's stupid too. Let one situation dictate everything you think of them. This is not one situation. This is our everyday experience. Black people live at the beauty supply store and nail salon, in the Chinese see-through kitchen. I don't know why we buy their stuff, but we do. They're in our neighborhoods. We ain't got a choice. And with that said, we deal with them in those situations. They don't deal with us. They decided immediately that this is what we are like the moment that they met you. There are no second, no third chances, no whatever. We are all the same, uniform same. Every Black person has a chance to be a dangerous criminal gangbanger. Don't trust them inside your store. When I did meet and see Asian people, I didn't say anything racist to them. My brain didn't instantly think of racist things. I just knew that if I were inside one of their stores, I had my guard up. Make sure it's very clear I'm not taking anything home with me that I'm not paying for. I'm not opening anything. I'm not touching it unless I'm buying it, basically. That's what I talked about. I acknowledge the stereotypes that we have for them, seeing them as being scrawny, weak, thin, short, whatever. I didn't say anything was right. I talked about it. We can't have a real adult conversation. And you want to know what I did in contrast? I talked about their stereotypes about us, which were much worse, much deeper. I know you want to play Oppression Olympics so bad, but you're not Black. You're not a person of color. Please don't try that with me. My goal wasn't even to make it a competition between Asians, whites, Hispanics, whatever. I simply explained they don't like us because of these stereotypes, but don't get mad at them because we also don't like them because of these stereotypes. When I say we and them, I mean the majority of people. More than likely, if you wasted the time, Black, white, Asian, whatever, and clicked on that video, you are probably the exception to that rule, which is why the video interested you. Because if you are somebody that is Black that truly doesn't like Asian people, there's a 90% chance you wouldn't have come across my channel or video. And if you are an Asian person that doesn't like Black people, there's a 90% chance you wouldn't have come across my video. Unless you are a weirdo, like for some reason white people tend to be, that are racist, that is. They gravitate towards any video that's tagged with, racism, prejudice, whatever. They gravitate towards it and have to share their opinion on it. I've never seen any other race of people do that. And that's a stereotype too. But you want to know what? It's true. If you go to my channel, go to any video that I have, I've probably had maybe one, maybe two Asian and or Black people say something stupid. But it is almost always a white person complaining about it. And it's like, if you don't like talking about racism, then don't watch my stuff. Don't watch it. You are not being clickbait. Any video that I talk about racism, it clearly has it listed in the thumbnail, title, it's tagged, whatever. So why did you watch it? Why did you click on it? Go away. So whatever, I can go on with this 4 days. But in a nutshell, don't take what I said out of context. I talked about my childhood experience and what I thought and why. And I compared it to what Asians think and why. And about how my reaction and my upbringing was different and not even close to being as bad as theirs. I didn't go around treating anyone a certain way or acting funny around them, but rather I protected myself because of what I was taught and what I saw and what I experienced. For them, theirs isn't just a matter of seeing you as being some dangerous thief, whatever. It is, you are not human. You are this ugly troll, Shrek-looking being in comparison to the beautiful white people of the world. Avoid looking like you, but look like them. Huge difference in what we experience. As a Black person, our views on Asians have nothing to do with that. The closest you can get to anything appearance-wise, it's technically, dick size or small eyes, whatever. We don't really care about eye size. That's it. Not the same thing. Don't try that with me. And again, the video was not justifying nothing. It was explaining. As a white person, you most certainly could make a video talking about what you thought about Black people or Asian people growing up, or even prior to your video. It's okay to get educated, to gain knowledge, to learn, to grow. That is what that video was about. I talked about this is what old me thought. This is what old me thinks now, or knows now. But I really didn't get too much into my own opinion now as an adult. Rather, I was telling you that I acknowledge that I thought this way as a child, and I'm aware that most of my community does think and feel this way. That was the video. Race does matter. Not talking about it doesn't make it go away. You and your people are the reason why we have to deal with this. Like I said, thank Grandma. Thank your ancestors. They are to blame. If they didn't do all of that crap, they didn't enforce those stereotypes, they didn't have that one drop rule, whatever type garbage type stuff, Jim Crow laws, we wouldn't have to talk about this right now. And you're right, race wouldn't be a real issue if that were the case. But it most certainly still would exist. It's a way of separating people. We can distinguish people by eye color, hair texture, etc. It would be pretty stupid and weird to pretend like we don't notice that I'm like 30 shades darker than you are as a white person. Do we have to play dumb? So I'm finished. I'm wasting my time. It's going to fall on deaf ears because if you are truly racist, truly ignorant, you ain't finna watch this 2-hour video. You don't care about me. But I'm putting it out there to make it clear. This is not me justifying anything. I am explaining it. Explaining is not excusing or justifying. It is just that. It is giving an explanation, telling you why something is or is not the way that it is. I'm sorry that that's too hard for you to understand. So that is that. I'm done with this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the video idea. Thanks for wasting my time again. And I hope that I don't have to explain this again. But yeah, that's it. This is not a Prussian Olympics. This is not justifying racism, but rather to explain we've been fed stereotypes too as Black people, just like how they have. The reason why we don't like each other is mostly based on stereotypes and beauty standards. The media does play a role and is to blame for some things. Most Asian people have never met a Black person in their lives and never will. You might see one maybe, but meet one more than likely never. If all you've ever seen was Black people are dirty, they're ugly, they're monkeys, they're whatever, it's going to affect your brain. That's facts. I talk about that. I explain that it's because their media has taught everyone that Black people are dangerous, bad, ugly. They're seen as lesser. Likewise, because our media has talked about how unmasculine and feminine Asian men are and how small they are, they are seen as undateable. It's factual. Being the exception does not make it the rule. I personally am open to dating men of any race. I do like Asian men. I think a lot of guys here are handsome. I like what they call metrosexual men, if you will. I don't mind that. But am I most women? No. Am I every woman? No. Most women wouldn't dare to date an Asian man. They're not attracted to them. Women of any race. They're the least desirable. Likewise, Black women are the least desirable when it comes to men with dating. It's hard to believe when I look at my DMs. But you want to know what? I realize I am the exception, not the rule. Guys liking me does not mean that they like Black women. They just like me. What's so hard to understand about that? I'm done. You got something else you want to say, argue, add it to the comments. I didn't read her comment. I forgot to do that. But whatever, this video is long enough. You can go and look back on my video about why Asian men don't like Black women if you want to watch it through the entirety and see what I actually said and read the comments where I replied to all 6,000 people that clearly didn't watch it. And it's like people just watch videos to respond rather than to learn, educate themselves, and or listen. Because nowhere in my video do I say that this is fair, that it's right, that it's whatever. I just say it how it is. I talk about how, in all honesty, I thought and believed these things. I was taught these things. I experienced these things. And I had to unlearn them. We can also be real right now and talk about this too. If you grew up going to school anytime between the 80s up until about 2009, you grew up making gay jokes more than likely. You said some homophobic shit. And you want to know what? You wouldn't dare say a lot of that stuff now. Because what would happen? Exactly. Are you the same person that you were back then as you are now? No. Have you ever said and done things as a child that are wrong, that you had to learn as an adult? Yes. Have you said, done, and believed things as an adult that you know better than to do so now? Yes, I have too. Sorry to break it to you, but I'm not God. I'm human. And unlike you, at least I'm honest enough to admit, yeah, what I thought and believed is wrong. It wasn't good. It was unfair. So I'm done officially. Good night. And I will argue with you in the comments. Goodbye.